Good Sunday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. I'm your meteorologist, Joseph Peterson. Let's go in and talk about the weather for your Sunday evening going into your future. We have some stuff to talk about for tonight. But first, before we get into that, if you have not hit the like button yet, go in and do so. It's free, and you can change your mind at any time. We have around a good 6 people watching, or 7 people watching, excuse me, and have 6 likes. So mostly everybody's the like button, but if you have not gone on to do so yet, go on and do so. Also, hit the subscribe buttons. Right now, we are about halfway there to our main goal of 700 subscribers. So we're getting closer and closer, but we just need to continue to push that way. And then also, hit the share button. Share with your friends, your family members, your acquaintances, even people you don't even talk to like that. Just go on and do so. That is the first thing. The second thing, if you have not made sure to tune in tomorrow night because tomorrow night, I did not announce it until yesterday morning, but I know I should definitely have said this a long time ago. But the 2 year anniversary of the South Carolina Weather Channel is coming up literally tomorrow. Like when I say it's actually tomorrow, I mean like it is literally tomorrow. So let's go ahead and give me a round of applause real quick. Give us a round of applause. So I just had to go in and say that. I know I should have definitely have said that earlier. That's my apologies for that. But the 2 year anniversary is coming up soon, tomorrow, and so we'll do something tomorrow to celebrate it. We'll do something tomorrow. And that's pretty much all I had to say there as well. What are we going to talk about for tonight, though? Well, first off, number one, we're going to obviously talk about the current weather. We're going to talk about the weather for tonight. We're going to talk about the weather for tomorrow. And then we will also talk about some other stuff as well, rather it be just it being cool seasonable high pressure as it dominates going into Tuesday. Increasing clouds and slight precipitation chances on Wednesday. Gusty winds, colder air Thursday behind that cold front. Cold front is subjected to push through around Wednesday night going into early Thursday. And then an active pattern late week with the potential for like high up there in the mountains though, like high up there in the mountains I think, but for some potential snow, we'll look at all that, but again, that's like higher elevation. I don't think that that's really too much in terms of the lower elevations, but we'll go in and see. We'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens. So let's go on now and talk about what's currently going on. Well, right now it actually seems like, whoops, okay. It looks like right now that for the most part there's not a whole lot. In fact, we look actually dry right now, very dry right now. And even if we go in and continue to push our way out, you can see rainfall going on down here inside of Texas, rainfall going on down here in Florida, snowfall going on up here inside the Northeast, and even some snowfall going on in Wisconsin and the UP of Michigan. Rainfall and snowfall going on over here inside of Idaho, Washington, Montana, even inside of the Dakotas, and even Wyoming as well. Now, what about our cloud cover? Cloud cover right now actually is showing some cloud cover inside the low country, even the Grand Strand, the PD areas. The upstate has some cloud cover potentially, but it's kind of hard to see on the map. We can actually go in and check this out, and it actually seems like there's none. Looks like the majority of that cloud cover is really just inside the low country going on inside of the Grand Strand area. If we go in and push this forward all the way through to around 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. to 6 a.m., you can see all of this cloud cover that starts to push a little bit more into the state inside of the western upstate at this point. And even as you go into 8 o'clock in the morning, going into tomorrow, 9 o'clock in the morning, you can really start to see that cloud cover starting to build a lot more throughout the entire state. Even at 12 o'clock p.m., 1 o'clock p.m., all the way to 2 to 3 o'clock p.m., cloud cover continues to move its way through from the low country towards the PD, the Grand Strand, and all these other areas as well. Go all the way to 6 p.m., all the way through to around 7 o'clock p.m., and then it looks like that we're going to be mostly cloudy. Clear spots will be here and there, But continue this all the way through 4 a.m. on Tuesday. Seems like we are looking a lot more clear, like a lot more clear after we get into like Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening. Still looks very much clear. Now, what about for our current temperatures right now? 42 in Somerville as well as 45 in Charleston, 46 in Beaufort, and even 39 inside of Orangeburg. We also do have around a good 48 in Hilton Head Island, 42 Georgetown, and 40 in Conway, 43 Myrtle Beach, and 43 in Myrtle's Inlet in North Myrtle Beach, 39 in Florence, and 38 inside of Hartsville and Sumter, 38 in Columbia, and 34 in Newberry, 35 inside of Greenwood, and 34 in Lawrence, 33 in Greenville, Spartanburg, Gaffney, and 34 in York and Rock Hill. Now, what about for your low temperatures for tonight? We have around a good 25 in Greenville, 26 in Spartanburg, and even 25 in Rock Hill, 27 in Winsboro and Camden, and even 26 in Newberry, 28 in Columbia, and 27 in Aiken, 28 in Barnwell, and 28 in Orangeburg, 29 in Walterboro, even around a good 33 in Charleston, 30 Moncks Corner, and 29 in Georgetown, 31 in Myrtle Beach. High temperatures for tomorrow. Look at how low these high temperatures are going to be as we go into tomorrow, and I didn't even mention, but if you have not, brought any plants that you need to bring inside, bring them inside. You need to keep any faucets dripping, anything like that, especially if you're up there inside the upstate. Temperatures down to around 25 degrees or something. That's not even and that's not even including potentially any wind as well. So, especially if you're up there inside the upstate, you need to be taking precautions for coastal areas. I think like the more towards like the coastal low country near like Hilton Head Island you get, the warmer it's going to be. But 36 degrees is still not, warm. But it's definitely the warmest area of the state. High temperatures for tomorrow around 50 in Greenville and Anderson, as well as 51 in Spartanburg and Rock Hill, 50 in Newberry and 51 in Columbia, 51 in Orangeburg and Barnwell, and 51 in Walterboro, 51 in Charleston, and 50 in Moncks Corner, 50 in Kingstree and Florence, as well as 48 in Myrtle Beach, 49 inside of Georgetown, and 51 in Hilton Head Island. Rainfall for tonight, not expected at this time, so we are good in terms of rainfall for tonight going into tomorrow and tomorrow night. Then what about the crazy score? If you have no idea what the crazy score is, it is a score that we see how crazy the weather is throughout the state of South Carolina. Why are we at a 22? And looks like right now, just because of that widespread sub-freezing lows, mid to upper 20s inland, close to a hard freeze in some spots, dropping wind chills into the 20s, potentially the teens after midnight. Those are definitely the primary noticeable elements, definitely enough to require protection, obviously, for those pipes, plants, pets, and caution, on early commutes. Calm, light wind, though, no other hazards. So no precipitation, no fog, no storms, nothing like that. And I think that that's what prevents it from getting more into the more moderate category. Now, let's go on and talk about our SPC outlook. So starting off with tonight, no thunderstorms tonight, no thunderstorms tomorrow, and no thunderstorms on Tuesday. So we are good here in terms of thunderstorm activity. We still have this fire risk here. In fact, there was actually a red flag warning that was issued earlier, and I've already seen reports already of fires already ongoing. I know I saw one inside of Florence earlier, and so huge, presence on the scene there from what I saw over there in Florence. But I haven't seen anything else past that. Maybe except for some, maybe in North Carolina, but for South Carolina, I haven't seen any. Other than that, as I said this morning and last night, I believe so as well. If you were burning anything, make sure that you were careful with it, and if you didn't have to burn anything, don't. It was definitely a breezy day today. My highest wind gust for today, I think that it may have been a little bit stronger than what was said here. It says my highest wind gust was around 23. I think it may have potentially been a little bit higher than that, though. Now, in terms of excessive rainfall for today going throughout the next 5 days, right now it looks like no excessive rainfall, so we are good here in terms of excessive rainfall. So let's go ahead and look at the models. So we're going to start off here with the time in the top right corner of your screen. make sure they go in and pay attention to that, because that is definitely something that you should be keeping in mind as we go in and push this forward. Starting off here at 9 o'clock p.m., if we go in and push this forward, you can just see nice and dry, no precipitation all the way through the 13th, going into the 14th. No precipitation here. And so it looks like we will remain nice and dry for the next 48 hours or so. Now, what about the long-term future? Well, we're going to start off here where we just send it off 7 o'clock p.m. on the 13th. And you start to see some isolated shower activity around like the 14th. And since this is the week forecast, we're going to talk about day by day. We just went through all the way from the 11th going into the 13th, and we saw no precipitation. We see some isolated, shower activity potentially going on the 14th. And then we see that cold front pass through on Wednesday night going into Thursday. And that's when we see that cold air coming through, even some potential rainfall behind it. And then there's some snowfall up there inside the mountains. But like I said, nothing really in terms of like the lower elevation. And, it's 90 plus hours out, so things will change there. And then once we get to the last day, the 17th, again, just remains pretty much just dry. And so I think that this is mainly going to be a dry week, maybe a cooler than average week. We'll see what happens. But for right now, it looks like it's going to be more on the drier side this week. I can even go on and actually show you it right now, though, and show you that we actually will be drier than average this week. Not good, especially for the drought that we have right now. We have a D2 drought up there inside the very far upstate. We have a D1 drought in the tan, going all the way from the western low country up into the upstate, the western Midlands, even inside of the northern PD area. And then everybody else is encompassed in that D0, the abnormally dry. The abnormally dry is not a drought, but it means that you are dry, you need the rainfall, and you definitely want to see rainfall as we go throughout this time period. And so this week just does not seem to want to bring it at all. And so that's unfortunate, but let's see if we have any for the future, though. So past this week, we're going to go into next week, and you can see just remaining dry. I mean, all the way through the 22nd. The 23rd finally comes along, and we finally start to see some rainfall try to get its way through. And you can definitely start to see some active conditions right here. 288 hours out, it says snowfall. But reminder, this is 288 hours out. We shouldn't even be looking at this right now, really, to be honest, because this is more than a week out. And we just cannot say for sure. So we're just going to continue to push that forward all the way to the 300-hour plus mark. And it looks like, maybe some more just cooler cold fronts trying to move its way through right here, the 23rd, 24th here. And so we go all the way back. We go all the way back and go in and look at the dew points. We go back all the way through to around like the 14th, or pushing forward towards the 14th. You see another cold front right here on the 15th, obviously. Then again, potentially just a couple of days later, another potential cold front right after it. I mean, dry conditions as well with it. And so if this comes with the same breezy condition that we saw, we could potentially see another fire risk again as we go into the 19th. Just look at how dry this air right here is getting. All the way through the 19th. And then we see another cold air mass, or at least trying to get back through around the 24th, going to around like the 25th or so. And so I think that pretty much wraps that up in terms of the dew points. I do also want to go in and look at the anomalies as well. And then we'll go in and look at the temperature anomalies for the week. We go in and push this forward all the way through past the 13th, the 14th, warm air, is here going to the 15th. We go here into around like the 16th, cooler air right here as well, trying to move its way through, all the way through the 18th, the 19th, the 20th. And so if you could take anything from just this period of weather here, is that with cold fronts, it's going to be definitely inside of the more freezing territory, but once you have those little warm air masses trying to move its way in after the cold front, or even before the cold front, you will not really see anything, like high, like in like the 80s, 90s, obviously, but it does show, temperatures, if we go in and look at them in terms of the shaded, goes all the way up into the 60s. You see maybe some 70s. But you can definitely see freezing temperatures for sure right here, January the 24th. I mean, we're seeing teens for temperatures up there inside the upstate. Again, 300 plus hours out. But I mean, you're just seeing freezing temperatures after freezing temperatures after freezing temperatures after freezing temperatures. And it does not cover the entire state. That's something else we probably also have to go on and talk about. But it's not for the entire state. It's mainly for just those areas that it's obviously for, rather it be the upstate, rather it be the PD area. It'll rarely be like maybe like the low country or the coastal areas, for example, because those are usually the last areas to get hit by any sort of cold front or any sort of cold air mass. So you see freezing temperatures, but you see how it doesn't take over the entire state. Even as we go past all the way through January the 24th, going to the 25th, the 27th, you can definitely see freezing temperatures are making that heavy awaited return that we have been not waiting for, but that definitely we were possibly dreading, because I know a lot of people here. I think most people here like summer and like warm air more than winter, if I'm not mistaken. So I do think that, unfortunately, a lot of us might actually be upset by this. But let's go on and talk about the week forecast. And actually, it's a bit of a flip. The upstate, PD areas, those areas, Midlands as well, above average. Low country, though, cooler than average, colder than average. And in the middle, southern Midlands going inside of like the western Grand Strand, the southern PD area as well. More just in the average area. More just in the average area in terms of temperature. So, like I said, of course, that does not mean that it's going to be, warmer in the upstate and cooler in the low country. It just means that for that time of year, it's going to be cooler in the low country than what we would usually see during that time, and it's going to be warmer in the upstate for what we would usually see during this time. So let's go on and look at the rainfall for the week. I do want to go on and show that as well. And if I go on and check out the forecast from the Weather Prediction Center from the experts themselves, it's not looking good. Not looking good, if I was to say so myself, like I said, with this drought. In fact, I'm not even seeing really anything too crazy. Now, when I say crazy, like a good type of crazy, because obviously we want to see some rainfall, and we're not hoping for any sort of like flash flooding or anything like that. But for the next 7 days, I mean, we have some areas that might not even see a drop of rain. There are some areas inside that D2 drought that might not see a drop of rain all week. And those above average temperatures inside the upstate definitely are not going to help as well. And so I think that that's all pretty much that I have to say in terms for the week forecast update. I don't think there's anything else really for me to say. Oh, there is one thing I can say, actually. I'm going to go over into the CONUS real quick. And I'm going to move on over towards this pattern right here. And I'm going to go over towards the models again. We're going to do this, boom. So, I do want to go and look at this real quick, just our pattern as we go throughout the week. Then we'll go on and talk with the audience. Starting off here, though, obviously the main cold front that we just had today, that's going to move its way off. You have this ridge over here inside the west. That's giving them some nicer, warmer conditions over here. And then we get a high pressure behind that cold front. We're having some fun in the sun for the most part. Clouds probably with it, but for the most part, fun in the sun. They're even having some more fun in the sun over there as well. And so it just looks like, for the most part, things are looking okay. Things are looking okay. If we go and look at the precipitation, like I said, things are looking okay. In fact, they may actually be like a lot quieter. We just see some up here inside the upstate. We see, not the upstate, but in the Pacific Northwest, some rainfall over there. Maybe southern Texas, maybe over there inside of the Northeast around January the 13th. But for the most part, things are good. Until we start to see this little air mass up here try to go on through the Midwest, going inside the Great Lakes region as well. And that's what's going to cause us to have our next cold front right here on the 15th. And I want you to watch. You have that warm air out there in the west. They're having, again, more fun in the sun over there inside the west. And then while we're over here having a low pressure, bringing us some cooler temperatures. In fact, very cooler temperatures. We were just talking about those freezing conditions, and so with that, I don't really see too much in terms of flash flooding. I think that that's more likely just like an Arctic air blast that came down that didn't come from the west, that came actually from Canada and moved its way down. But it's not really doing anything in terms of, severe weather. But back to where we just were, that's going to continue its way through all the way throughout the 16th and look through the 17th. And then this pretty much ends off the week. But that secondary cold front that I was talking about that we were going to have after the first one on the 15th, that one potentially looks a little bit more on the stronger side. This one right here, around like 1,000 millibars or so. This one over here going down around like 994-ish, I see at its peak. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens here. But that's just the pattern breakdown for now. Let's go and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. Starting off, Mr. Chris was here first tonight. He was here first tonight. He says, good evening, everyone. Hope you had a great day. I did. Thank you so much for asking. He also says current temperature here in 45 is 45 with the wind chill of 40. Well, let me check out mine. Mine right now, my older weather station says around 46. Says around 46. My newer one, on the other hand, whoops, let me drag that over here. My newer one, on the other hand, says it's around like a good 46. Wind chills down to 44. So they're around the same. Wind chills down to around 44 degrees-ish or so. My Aunt Lewis says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Mr. Chris says, please remember to go and hit the like button and subscribe button. Also share with everyone that you know. It's free and it helps the channel grow. He's absolutely correct. Right now we have around a good... Actually, let's check out the likes real quick first. 18 people tuned in and only 7 likes. If you're a part of that 11... if you are part of that 11 that have not hit the like button yet, go in and do so. It's free, and you can change your mind at any time. Also, if you have not hit the subscribe button as well and you're new, go in and do that. My Aunt Lewis says today, I pray that everyone had a blessed day. Well, I did. Thank you so much for that. My Nana says, hello, Jay. Thanks again. I got done all that I needed. Well, that's great to hear. Glad that you were able to get all that done. Mr. Michael says, good evening, Joseph. Hopefully you enjoyed a quiet and relaxing Sunday. I did. Got some stuff done today, but for the most part, was quiet. It was quiet. Mr. Anthony says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. My Aunt Lewis says, today in Georgetown it was nice as I went to my second church service. However, coming out an hour later, it was cool. It was colder. Same thing with me as well. I went outside around like 9:40-ish, 9:30-ish, somewhere around there. And it was warm. Go back outside around like 11:40, 11:50 or so, and it was colder. Definitely was colder. Then, Mr. Chris says I went to my early service and got home before it started getting cold. So it seems like most of us experienced the same thing. My cousin Cheryl comes in and says, good evening, Weatherman. Good evening, everyone. I hope you had an enjoyable weekend. May you have a wonderful week ahead, Weatherman. Do your thing. Love you. I'm at work. Well, thank you so much for tuning in with us while you're at work. And thank you as well for asking me about my weekend. Then Mr. Chris says, happy anniversary to the channel. My Aunt Lewis says, happy anniversary. Well, thank you so much for that. But I hopefully can see that again tomorrow, as the anniversary is tomorrow. So hopefully we can get that. My mom also says, congratulations. Hello, everyone. Hello to you. And then Mr. Chris has started off the day with a little bit of rain, but not much to really do anything. My Aunt Lewis says today we did have some morning showers. That was in the forecast for earlier this morning. That says, good evening, Justin Weather Family. It was cool today in San Antonio. Very mild weather. I enjoyed it. I trust all is well with you all. All is well. All is well with me. And then Mr. Chris also says, make sure you go in and check on the elderly. Drape your pipes if you haven't, if they're not wrapped. Absolutely. And then my Aunt Lewis says Georgetown did have high winds. And then Mr. Chris said the wind was also howling in Monk's Corner today. And then Thad says, happy channelversary. Well, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. And that's all I can see here in terms of the chat. So let's go on now and talk about the 4 locations outside of South Carolina. You might be asking, 4 locations outside of South Carolina? What are you talking about? This is supposed to be a South Carolina only channel. I thought. Well, you thought wrong, as we do in fact talk about 4 locations outside of South Carolina, that being San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. The reason why we talk about these areas is because we have people from these areas who tune in almost nightly. And because they tune in almost nightly, we go on and talk about them. Their area is not even the main area of concern, yet they still show up and they still show up to show their support. So I think this is a good way to repay them for that. So we start off with San Antonio first. Low temperatures tonight at 45. High temperatures tomorrow at 63. And then low temperatures tomorrow night at 48. Precipitation for tonight, not expected. Not expected at all. Tomorrow, precipitation is not expected tomorrow during the day, but tomorrow night, there is indeed a chance of showers tomorrow night. So we will have to watch out for that. You will have to watch out for that for sure. So what's going on in terms of your severe weather, in terms of your excessive rainfall? Well, I will start off by saying nobody has any sort of excessive rainfall. In fact, the entire country doesn't. And in terms of your severe weather, I said this yesterday. Well, I'll say that when we get to the entire U.S. part. But you have no severe weather for you either, so you're good. In fact, I believe everybody does not have any sort of severe weather as well. So everybody, no severe weather, no excessive rainfall, anything like that. Now, what about for your future? Well, it looks like right now that you will warm back up, but then you'll cool back down. Wednesday 72. You'll cool down to around 60 on Saturday. 63 Sunday, 68 on Friday, 65 on Thursday. So it's gonna kind of take a little bit of a jump on Wednesday, but then you'll get back towards those 60s. So kind of just like a oddly warm day on Wednesday. Then for Raleigh, you have low temperatures tonight at 29, high temperatures tomorrow at 50, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 29. Precipitation not expected for tonight, tomorrow as well. Severe weather and excessive rainfall, we just talked about that, not expected at this time. And then in terms of your future, you might have some snow on the way. Thursday going into Thursday night, make sure you're watching out for that. But also, you also will be having a little bit of a warm-up before Thursday. Even as you go into Friday, high temperature of 44. Saturday, high temperature of 50. 45 for your high on Sunday. So you will definitely cool back down. But for right now, you're a bit on the warm-up. For Philadelphia, you have low temperatures tonight at 30, high temperatures tomorrow at 43, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 31. Precipitation, not expected at this time. In terms of severe weather, excessive rainfall, not expected. Rainfall is on the way. Wednesday, 30%. Thursday, 50%. Maybe even a chance of snowfall Thursday night as well. And in terms of your temperature, it seems like you're kind of going to be like jumping back and forth between like the 40s and the 50s. Then you'll cool back down on Friday, going up to around 34. So same thing kind of with Raleigh. You'll be like on a warm up Monday going on through Tuesday and Wednesday, but then Thursday you'll cool right back down. Then the final location being Duncan, Oklahoma. Low temperatures tonight at 30. High temperatures tomorrow at 63. And then low temperatures tomorrow night at 33. Precipitation not expected at this time. Excessive rainfall, severe weather, not expected. In fact, you're going to be so dry, you're probably not going to see any rainfall through the next 7 days, all the way through next week Sunday, with high near 55. Then as you go all the way through in terms for your temperatures as well, it looks like that you're going to be on the cool down like everybody else from Wednesday going all the way through Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And that's all I have to say in terms of these 4 areas. So let's go on now and talk about what's going on throughout the entire U.S. A wintry mix will continue in the interior New England area through tonight as a coastal storm quickly passes towards the east. Heavy snow is expected in northern Maine with a coating of ice expected for much of the interior New England area. Behind the storm system, lake effect snow and snow squalls will develop from the Ohio Valley to the interior New England area through Monday. We will see some freezing temperatures going on inside of southern Georgia tonight. We also will see some air quality alerts going on over there in Oregon, Idaho, mainly just for stable and dry air stagnation. Pretty much what is air stagnation? It's a high pressure creates stable conditions as temperature inversions develop, pretty much colder near the surface. You have warmer air aloft in the atmosphere. And so with light winds, you have reduced vertical mixing. You probably don't know what I'm talking about, but pretty much all I'm saying is that it's going to support pollutant build up over time. And so that's just what stable air and air stagnation is, if you have no idea what that was. Even as you go over into, there will be a little bit of a fire risk as well inside of Montana. And then also, I said this yesterday, but I'll say it again. We're not expecting any sort of thunderstorms throughout the entire United States, at least the lower 48, as we go throughout the next 3 days or so. So, no thunderstorms are expected as we go throughout tonight, tomorrow, and Tuesday for the entire nation. And not only that, but excessive rainfall is also not expected for the entire nation. So that means no severe weather, no excessive rainfall is expected as we go throughout the next 3 to 8 days. So we'll look at it. We'll continue to see what happens there, see how that develops, see when our next thunderstorm risk will be. But I think that's about all that I have to say here. So let's go on now and check with the audience one more time. Thad says it was quite windy last night. And then Miss Chris says, same here, shook my home. And that's all. I don't see anything else here inside the chat for me. So I'm going to go in and wrap this up. Remember, if you have not hit the like button yet, go in and do so. Also, if you have not hit the subscribe button yet, also go in and do so. If you're new. Also share with your friends, your family members, your acquaintances, even people you don't even talk to like that. Go in and send it to them. That, and then, remember, if you have not dripped your faucets, if you need to open up the cabinets, anything like that, do anything like that, any sort of plants that you need to bring inside, go in and do that. Pets, bring them inside. Check on neighbors, all that stuff is all encouraged as we go into tonight, and especially going into tomorrow. As well as tomorrow, we'll pretty much see close to the same temperatures that we're seeing tonight. And, on more of a widespread level, it looks more on the warmer side, but still, we're still going to be seeing some 20s, like up there inside the upstate still tomorrow night. And so I think that's all that I have for tonight. Don't see anything else out of the chat. Top fans of the night for tonight, Mr. Chris at number 1. My Aunt Lou is at number 2. And then Thad is at number 3. Congratulations to the 3 of y'all for being the top fans of the night for tonight. If you want to be a part of the top fans, you can by joining us at 9 o'clock p.m. every night. Or just the night of. Also, go on. You also have to be a subscriber. You have to be here early. And you have to be more active inside the chat. If you're more active than everybody else, you'll be to the top. If you're not active at all, you might not even be on the top 3. So go on and do so if you want to go in and be a part of that. But I will be back tomorrow morning with your Monday morning forecast update. Everyone have a fantastic rest of your Sunday. And make sure you hit those 2 buttons before you leave.